What's going on, Niner fam? It is me, Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic Podcast, and we had a little change of plans today. I had a few technical difficulties earlier on today with my laptop, so Chris Polo was kind enough to come on and replace my other guest, Ron. And of course, I got to apologize for Ron. But hey, Chris, thank you for coming on today. And of course, we're going to talk some training camp. How you doing? And I know we've been listening and watching videos all day. So, but how you doing today? And why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on the socials?
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I'm doing good. So on Twitter, it's just my first and last name with 2 underscores. So Chris Polo, _. If you go there, right in my bio, I have a link tree to where you can find my content. I'm going to start doing live shows. I have some other stuff I've done there already. So my YouTube channel is The Polo Show. That's the name of my podcast. You can get to my YouTube channel straight from the link tree. I'm also going to start streaming on Twitch. So I have a Twitch account that's also on the link tree. And I'll put out the audios on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Amazon Music as time goes on. But yeah, it's great to be back on here.
Yeah, awesome, bro. Like, yeah, and I had you on not too long ago, but yeah, like, once again, I appreciate you coming on short notice, and I love the fact that we have a community that's kind enough to help a brother out when they're in need, So
yeah,
for sure. But so all of us can exhale now. Training camp has started. I know I'm excited. Like, I know you're excited. I know all the 49er fans are excited in different ways. Because I mean, there was some Niner on Niner crime on Twitter today. and it's, you got some people that kind of think of it in different ways, with Trey being QB1 now. And Jimmy kind of gets put by the wayside, but that some people don't want to let go of Jimmy. But after Kyle and John's press conference, what was the most interesting part to you of what they were talking about yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, to me, first of all, my favorite thing is they're finally just outspoken. We're all in on Trey Lance. It's his team. Like, hearing that, I think it was something everyone was waiting for the longest time, because we just wanted to hear them finally admit that. And we kind of felt like they could have put a lot of that to rest. We felt like there's a lot of doubt coming from, the fans, because it didn't feel like they were acting the most confident in Trey, even though we knew, like, okay, this team's confident in him. Just from the outside looking in, you don't really see like that, oh, we fully believe in him, like this whole off season, because we've been hovering over this Jimmy thing. Where is he going to go? Is he going to get traded? You have some people who are not as in the know as a lot of us Niner fans are. So a lot of people are thinking, oh, is Jimmy actually going to start? Is Trey going to sit another year? So to hear that finally was like the confirmation we all needed and wanted.
Yeah, for sure.
That it's not just Trey's team, but Jimmy is as good as gone. So hearing all that was really good. And I found one part interesting where Kyle was talking about how they're moving on to Trey and that Jimmy knows it. And there was a part where John Lynch kind of looked uncomfortable almost that Kyle was saying that. I don't know if you saw that clip, but it kind of felt like John's sitting there like, hey, man, I'm still trying to build his trade value. Don't make it sound too easy for everybody. Yeah. That's kind of what it looked like.
Yeah, Lynch was making this face like, come on, man. Like, I mean, why do you always have to be so honest? Like,
yeah, that's literally because John Lynch is the one who's like contradicting himself throughout the offseason. So that part was interesting to me. But yeah, I would just really liked how fully behind they were on Trey. Also, when Kyle jumped on with Tim Kawakami and he was talking on there about how they're moving on to Trey, and it's just really good to see going into day one of camp. There's no question marks as to who the quarterback is. He knows that it's his team and he can go into it fully confident, get reps in with your guys. Hopefully they can just get this deal done soon.
You're freezing up on me.
Oh, you hear me now?
I can hear you. Oh, there you go.
Okay. Yeah. So I just think that they do have a legitimate shot to win a Super Bowl this year, even though the Trey is basically a rookie quarterback. I just think that with the defense that this team has and the quarterback play they had last year, if they can have in-sync rhythm, a great winning culture with Trey at quarterback instead of this whole like, what's up with the quarterback situation? Because you have Jimmy and Trey all year. I think without that headache, it's going to feel a lot better, because Kyle looked like he was in much better spirits talking. compared to last year, where he looked like he was gonna pull his hair out almost sometimes at post game press conferences. No, I don't have a mic stand yet, Brandon. I'm working. I'm working on it. I have like this desk where I can't drill a hole in it. It's too big for a stand, so I got to get like a TV stand and just screw it on there. So I'm still working on that.
But yeah, like you, I was really. It just got me really excited listening, like feeling that it's closer to the season, feeling like we can finally stop talking about what's going to happen this season and finally see it in action. I think that there was a lot of videos that came out today that got everybody really excited. Some throws from Trey that we saw. I mean, the ball just explodes out of that kid's hands, and it. But hearing John and Kyle talk about Lance, they're trying to hold. It feels like they're trying to hold it in too, because they don't want to let too much be known like right away, because they always like to hold things close to the vest. But I think that they're super excited about what's coming with Trey. They just don't even care about talking about, no, this is Trey's team. Like Jimmy's done. Like we're good, and as soon as we find somewhere to put him, he's going to be gone. Like and then later on that day, last night, he passed his physicals, so we're just waiting for a trade partner if there is one. If not, I'm fully confident that they're going to release him. They're not going to let that money just go by the wayside and hold him as a backup. I just don't. And even from what we saw today in the videos and what the beat writers were talking about from the practices, I mean, Nate Sudfeld and even Brock Purdy look good today in the offense. Like so, I mean, I know it's first day of training camp, but
yeah, and sorry to cut you off, but like what with the Jimmy thing, it's kind of like, remember the last few days, like I think it was Diana Rossini or someone was on like ESPN talking about how she got like a text message, and person was basically from the Niners saying like, how many times do I have to tell you? How many different ways do I have to tell you that Trey Lance is our quarterback? And remember the what was it? Something about Jimmy not being able to throw until like I think they said like mid-August, and then like the next day the Niners cleared him and said and gave him permission to seek trade. It kind of feels like the last few days they've really wanted to put their foot on like, Jimmy is not our quarterback, guys. Like everyone needs to shut up with that. Oh, Hiley. Oh my god. Dude, first of all, Hiley, he shot a higher percentage from three this year than like the last 2 or 3 years. So that's just disrespectful. Why?
Yeah, it's man, I need to do my my shows later on in the evening. Y'all seem to be so much more active when I do them later. Like but yeah, no kidding. Like but yeah, I completely agree. I just think that we're so done with talking about Jimmy. Like the closer that we get to him being gone, it's like Christmas at this point. And I want to make it clear, because I got into it with somebody earlier on Twitter today about Jimmy, and I think that us as 49er fans, like we get so tired of the Jimmy truthers out there that like us think he can do no wrong. It's not that we don't appreciate the fact that Jimmy brought us out of a really dark time in Niner history, because I know that I do. And like I appreciate that he came here. We got to a Super Bowl. We got to an NFC Championship game. I appreciate the fact that he is better than Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard. I appreciate all that. Like, but at the same time, if you can improve your team, you should be looking to improve your team. And I think that's what Kyle and John have been looking to do. And I think that they're setting themselves up for the next decade at this point. And so it is what it is. Like, but I'm done talking about Jimmy. Like, realistically speaking, but we can finally say Trey is officially QB1. How does this affect the national media's coverage of him? And like, are we going to finally not have to hear about how Jimmy is still a possibility?
I think we're going to hear that until he's officially cut or traded. National media, the Tannenbaums of the world and stuff like that are still going to say Jimmy G gives them the best chance to win. I feel like Trey is under this microscope that's just so unfair. Like,
Yeah,
first of all, the plan was to sit him. That does not mean that the kid was not ready. That does not mean that he's not good enough to play. Doesn't mean he doesn't give them their best chance. It's just that was their plan. Like, regardless, like we want him to sit for a year. Um, and I think that being picked that high, being in a situation like this, because what national media sees of Jimmy is he won so much. And people look
yeah,
at Kyle Shanahan's record without Jimmy G versus with him. And anytime Trey makes a mistake or anytime they lose a game, there's gonna be that reaction like, oh, well, you were winning with Jimmy. And he's gonna be having to deal with that kind of delusion, I would say. Because what people fail to realize is because people say Jimmy puts them in position to win. I say the team puts him in position to win, but his mistakes is
for
what
sure.
puts them in position to lose. It's just
Yeah,
sometimes they outplay his mistakes or he has to make up for his own mistakes, barely does it. And people say he's a winner because it's in the win column. So with Trey, I think that people may have like these really high expectations, and that's because they see the Niners have been winning so much. I'm talking about national media, and they think it's with Jimmy. So I think that they're expecting Trey to be this huge upgrade, where in reality, he doesn't need to have 4,000 passing yards and 30 touchdowns. If he and I said this the other day, if he replicates the things Jimmy did well and just subtracts the mindless, careless errors and mistakes, like forcing throws in the middle of the field when there's no need, taking sacks, throwing the ball backwards, throwing with your eyes closed. Like if he just takes out the horribly egregious mistakes, this team could win a Super Bowl. Like that's all he needs to do. He doesn't need to go out here and be Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't need to go out there and be Josh Allen. He just needs to be a good decision maker.
yeah,
So
for sure.
I think for
Like,
us, we understand that, but I think national media is going to have because he sat for a year and we saw what Mahomes did, I think they're going to have that kind of outlook on it. And I think it's going to be compared really unfairly.
yeah, and for sure, this is the thing. All this offseason, the national media needed something to talk about. You see now they're starting to backtrack and they're starting to
Yeah.
find out that that it might not be the way that they've been portraying it, but they know that the casual fan out there that's watching ESPN and all that they're not going to remember what they said 2 months ago.
Yep.
They're not going to remember. It's not going to matter. It's only going to be us sitting here holding receipts and blowing them up on Twitter and telling them that they were wrong, which is why they hate us and why they block us. But
Exactly. Mike Silver
but
blocked me.
but at the same time, it just comes down to the national media is the national media. They're not worried about being wrong. They're just gonna switch. They're just gonna switch the story up, and nobody's even gonna pay attention. and that's just gonna be what it is.
They're very behind. Like when Colin Cowherd and Mike Silver came out that episode the other day, I mean, they were talking about stuff that we all knew about for a year,
Yeah,
and they're acting like it's news.
and they doubled down.
Yeah,
They,
exactly.
they
What are you
doubled
guys
down.
doing? We know you're lying, but they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care because like I said, they're gonna find out the casual fan doesn't even know any of this is going on behind they're gonna if you ask them, did you see this on Twitter or whatever, they're just gonna be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I just want to watch the game.
Yep.
So it's just us junkies that are on Twitter every day that are gonna notice all of this stuff. So but yeah, it really comes down to it's just a really delicate balance. And because people naturally want to give the quarterback credit for that's always been a thing. QB wins, people always think QB wins is a thing. And so the quarterback naturally gets most of the credit because they also get most of the blame. But the reality is was times when Jimmy bailed us out. He bailed us out a couple of times. Now, probably it was because he did a couple of things earlier in the game
Exactly.
that got us to that point. But people don't care about that stuff. They care about what happened at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And when he gets that touchdown to put us ahead or puts us in field goal range to get us to put us ahead, and get the win, all people are going to remember is that drive, and they're going to forget everything else that happened in the game. But yeah, like I said, I'm done talking about Jimmy. I'm going to say it again.
Yeah.
But so they started out Verrett, Warner started on the pup list. Kinlaw and McGlinchey have been cleared, but they said they're going to start slow. But they were out there today. And do you think the team has learned from their past with like injuries and having a better plan to keep the guys healthy throughout the season?
I hope so. I don't know who said it. It may have been Mayoko, but somebody said that this is like the first time Kinlaw's knee like doesn't like swell up. So that's a good sign. If he's healthy, this defense is going to be ridiculous. McGlinchey, I think we all kind of know that was a pretty bad injury for an offensive lineman. So we just kind of have to wait and see. But in terms of keeping their guys healthy, it's kind of interesting because if I remember correctly, I don't think Nick Bosa actually rehabbed his injury with people from the team. I think he used like his own group of guys to rehab from that ACL.
Yeah.
So I really hope they did, because for me, the only thing that is going to hold this team back from a Super Bowl is injuries. That's the only thing I can see, because looking at historically bad quarterback play in the playoffs, and we were 3 points away from being tied in the NFC Championship game, going to overtime, and with a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So like I said, if Trey's just a good decision maker, he doesn't need to be Mahomes, and this team is healthy, especially on defense, because we didn't really get healthy on defense till toward the end of the year. So with Travarius Ward being added there, if Javon Kinlaw's playing, I really hope they learn from their mistakes. I really think they could make a run this year. I think the Rams got a little bit worse. I think that Tampa Bay is definitely still a threat, obviously, because you got Brady and they added Julio Jones. And I don't know how Chris Godwin, I don't know how he was cleared. I don't. He tore his ACL late in the year, but he's good to go apparently. So that's a threat. But I look at the AFC and all the QBs over there. We don't have to go through that. So if they just stay healthy and keep their guys healthy and manage injuries correctly, we could run the table.
Yeah, for sure. That's the way. Man, I don't want to be. I'm trying to hold it in and try not to be like uber confident, because God knows, like I was overconfident in 2020. I thought we were just going to hit the ground running, and then we ended up with this humongous amount of injuries, and it ended up real bad. It was COVID too. I think that's kind of a underrated aspect of that season. But I just look at this as this team is loaded. This team is loaded, and I just think that Trey is going to give you all he needs to do is give us the 2 throws that Jimmy couldn't give us. And that's the way I look at it. And I just think that it's going to be I think we're going to all be excited about this season. I think Trey is going to give us a whole nother aspect to our offense. I think the defense is going to be better. I think the pass rush is going to be better. I think that Kinlaw, if seeing the video of Kinlaw today walking on the field, that guy is a giant. I don't even. It's going to be really cool to see him and Armstead in the middle of that defense. They're just so tall.
Or no, Armstead in the middle all year.
Yeah, and then having Bosa scream off the side, off the end, with whoever on the other side. Because I think Ebukam, and Teray and Drake Jackson are all going to have reps over on that other side. Mm-hmm. But I think we're going to see. It's just so much talent on this team. It's really kind of scary, that, which makes me worry even more about the injuries, because when it looks too good to be true, 9 times out of 10 it is, and I'm just a pessimist that way. But yeah, I'm really pulling for Verrett. I mentioned him earlier because if Verrett can be on this, just give us anything. I think that's just going to make our secondary better.
And Rohan, who hosted a space earlier today so people could ask questions because he was at the practice today, I asked him how Hufanga looked, and he said he looked really good, but he also was looked like a leader. Like he was telling guys what to do and stuff like that. So if he balls out too, I don't see a weakness on this entire defense. So it's lights out. at that point. Like
Yeah,
Trey does not have to do that much if this defense stays healthy.
so Hufanga, like the videos that we saw, I believe it was after minicamp, like him and Jimmy Ward were really vibing off each other, and Ward was saying made in his interview said that Hufanga is he's become really vocal. He's like you said, he's telling people where to be. He's leading, and I think that he did a lot of that. And I think this guy was a really smart player, and that was something that they talked about him coming out of USC was that he was, and that's what helps him with his. He looks like such an instinctual player, but that's why is because he sees everything on the field differently than he's reading those offenses at a lot quicker pace than maybe some of the other guys. And I just think that his instincts are really going to be good for us because Jimmy Ward did depend on Tart a lot of the time to tell him where to be, and Tart, that was an underrated aspect of Tart's game was he did help Tart out a lot, like
Mm-hmm.
with where to be and like helping him out with play calls. So yeah, it's but I'm excited for Hufanga, and I think that they're going to rotate just like they did last year. Like I think they're going to do some of those three safety looks. I think that Odom is going to be a part of this, and I think that there's just so many guys that I think that are going to be a part of this because they said I know it's day one of training camp, but at the same time they said what was the undraft or he wasn't undrafted. He was we got him in the corner that we got in like the seventh. I think it was
Tariq
seventh
Castro
round.
Fields.
Yeah, Castro Fields. They said he looked really good today, and then you've got Womack that they said was solid. But I mean, I know this is day one. Let's not get too over the moon about it. But I
Yeah,
just
there's
think
no
if these
pads.
guys,
So
if these guys can just be in the right position, I think that they're going to be making a lot of plays. We got a lot more athletic than I think we were last year. So
yeah.
But interesting development on the offensive line today. Brendel was the starting was repping with the ones, but Burford, the rookie, was starting right guard today. Do you think that is going to be a thing, or do you think that they just really wanted to get Brunskill more looks at center?
I think they just wanted to get Brunskill more looks at center. I think they know what they have in Brunskill at guard and tackle. I think
Yeah.
center's the biggest question mark because of the Alex Mack retirement. So I think they're trying to see who's going to be our better option going into week one to start at center because that's the guy that Trey's going to interact with on every single play. And they're calling out the pass protections. They've got to know it. So I think it's beneficial for one because they get to see what their true best option is there, but also it's given Burford some time to get some reps with the ones. So I think it's good both ways, but I think it's mostly just to see who the best option is at center. I never really thought that they were going to be all in on Brendel going into week one. They definitely have to do their due diligence. So yeah, I think that it's just to see what they have in both of them.
Yeah. I mean, Brendel, I didn't think he was going to be the starter. I was going to be surprised if that happened. I think that they're going to give Brunskill every opportunity to become the starter. I think it's going to be an honest competition, is what I think.
Yeah.
But I do think that they want Brendel to take the reins of this. But if he falters at all, I think that they're just ready to put Brunskill in there, if that makes any sense. So, so just to talk about some of the throws that we saw today in that Trey was making. Did you see those out routes like that
Yes.
Ayuk was running?
That one was my favorite one because of the anticipation on that throw.
Yes.
Yeah.
And but the way that the ball came out of that kid's hand, like it was a jugs machine, like it just like, I mean,
missile.
flick of the wrist. And like the guy, I'm still waiting to see what I'm waiting to see from Trey. We know he can make those missile throws and like all that kind of stuff. We're not worried about that stuff. What I'm waiting to see is, can he do those crossers over the middle, the nice little layups throws that Jimmy had that he excelled in? Can he do those throws without throwing it through the guy's chest.
Right.
What do you think?
I think he'll be able to get it down. It's just going to come with reps, which is why I want the Debo deal done fast because I just want him to get, really comfortable. Um, like the thing is with Trey Lance, I think we kind of look at him and we say like, okay, it's really easy to say, okay, because last year people were talking about his short passes, like Jimmy had the upper hand there, but the deep ball, Trey Lance was better. But at the end of the day, Kyle Shanahan's not going to put Trey in a situation where he's going to fail. Like at the end of the day, this offense was scoring, throwing Debo the ball, screen passes, running at 83 yards and scoring. Like I'm not saying they're going to have to rely on Debo to do stuff like that again, but this dude's a good decision maker. I'm not too concerned with how he's getting the ball there, as long as it's getting there at this point and not, being a Jimmy Hospital ball or something like that. As long as the ball's getting there, I don't really care. Just execute those plays, execute the easy ones. Don't make mistakes. Don't be throwing footballs into triple coverage 40 yards down the field and being 10 yards short.
It's
so I think he'll be fine with all that stuff. I'm not really I'm just really excited to see him play. I think some of his struggles just going to be timing. Just because getting into the league, the game's so much faster than college. And he did have a good amount of reps in his rookie year, but I think his main issue is just going to be timing. So I'm not worried about his touch or anything like that, but the timing on those quick throws where it's like the ball's designed to go here, get it there right away. He might have some growing pains with that, but give him a few weeks into the season. We don't play too difficult of teams exactly the first 2 weeks. So I think it's going to be really nice for Kyle Shanahan to scheme up something really good to get Trey going so that going into week 3, hopefully 2-0, you're ready to bring it against Denver in prime time.
Yeah, true that. And I think that is perfect. It's perfect time. The way that this schedule worked out for Trey, I think is perfect just because it's going to give him a chance to kind of ease into the game plan, ease into his new job, basically.
Yeah.
And it's but I think the thing that I'm most like and I keep finding myself going back to it is is basically the wide receiver core. Like they're so diverse, and somebody touched on it earlier today on Twitter, and like they're just, I think it was Vish, and they're just so, they all have different skill sets. They all can do something different. They add a little different flavor to the offense. And but which one of those 5 are you most excited for? Because I mean, Debo's an easy answer, but but which one of those 5 are you really kind of excited to see how they affect this offense?
I want to see Ray McLeod. I think there's multiple ways. I think there's multiple ways that they can use him. I kind of know what they're going to do with Debo and Ayuk and Juwan Jennings. So, like Rohan today was saying that with Ray McLeod, when he accelerates, like you see it, like he's explosive. So with that kind of top end speed, the versatility that he can bring to the offense, along with Debo already being there, I think that's something different. Like last year, their third receiver, they didn't really have someone like that in a third receiver. It's no disrespect to Juwan Jennings, just a different style. So I think having that and Debo being able to be out there at the same time, and Ayuk and George Kittle's also a pass catcher too. I think that's going to give Shanahan another tool to use to scheme up some more creativity in this offense, especially with a quarterback who can improvise a little bit, someone who's more mobile, someone who can do more physically. I think that Ray McLeod is going to bring something just different to the offense that was not here last year. I mean, our third receivers, we had like Travis Benjamin. We had my favorite guy, Mohamed Sanu.
Richie James.
We've had Richie James in the past. I think Ray McLeod will be interesting. And then, of course, special teams too, returning kicks and punts.
Yeah, you took my guy. I am so excited to see what Ray brings to this offense, just because we heard, and I knew that it was going to be, that there was something electric about the kid from the beginning, just because I watched the tape from him in Pittsburgh. I mean, there really wasn't much to go on from that tape. Like you could see that he is explosive, but I don't think in their offense, he was kind of an afterthought in their
Mhm.
offense. But what I was most excited by was I think it was there at the draft before the draft that I think it was Lynch that mentioned him specifically and saying like that he was excited to see what he was going to bring to the offense. And then Kyle brought up his name again, I think during mini camps, and so I knew at that point that they were going to have. He's at the very least he's going to have some packages, and
Yeah.
they talked somebody talked about it today. I don't remember who it was, but they said that he looked like you said explosive and like super like fast. I don't think anybody thought he was fast. I thought they thought he was quick.
Quick, yeah.
And like but yeah, I guess today he showed some speed. And if they can get him with some speed, Danny Gray, they've said looks like his speed is on another whole nother level. So it's just, who are you guarding? Like who are you trying to stop on this offense? I'm just interested to see it. I know Danny Gray is a rookie, but it's just the fact that he's gonna be open and Trey is gonna test those corners on the on those deep passes. So yeah, I'm super excited. I'm super excited if you can't tell already about this whole offense. I'm really interested to see what happens as we get deeper into training camp, and that we get a chance to see like during the scrimmages when they start scrimmaging against other teams. And even I'm gonna be at the tech. They're playing the Texans here in Houston
Mhm.
for a preseason, so I'm gonna go to that game.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I can't wait to see it all on the field.
Yeah, I can't wait either. There's too many weapons. Like if Trey Lance is the guy we think he is and hope that he can be, and you have Shanahan calling plays, and you have Debo, Ayuk, like I said, Kittle's out there too. Like sometimes we forget about him because we're talking about pass catchers, so we think of the receivers, but Kittle's there too,
I
and
mean,
Ray, Jawan Jennings, Danny Gray. I mean, the things that he's going to be able to attempt to do in this offense, along with the fact that we are a run first team, which is scary. So if the running game's going, you better have some elite defense
yeah.
because we were winning games with Jimmy G at quarterback. So you better have some elite defense.
And I mean, you just said it, and I really didn't want to go back to Jimmy, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Like, so let's say that like Trey, I mean, like we said, if it happens the way we see it happening, like, what do you think that does to Jimmy G's like image or reputation that he had all these weapons because they had a lot of weapons before the season, and Jimmy was not able to take advantage of them a lot of the time. So, do you think that people it kind of tarnishes his legacy with the team?
I'll tell you exactly what people say. Well, for people like us, we'll be like, we knew we needed an upgrade, but to a
See,
lot of people, this is what it's gonna be. It's gonna be like, let's say they win a Super Bowl, it's gonna be, well, he did that because he sat and learned from Jimmy Garoppolo for a
yeah.
season. That's what it's gonna be. People are gonna credit like all Trey's success to, yeah, he learned that from Jimmy. He learned, he sat there next to him on the bench, and then every time he makes a mistake, they're gonna be like, see, Jimmy gave you a better chance. That's how it's going to be all year from national media. I'll tell you.
Yeah, yeah, and you're probably right. Like, I would like I'm gonna be sitting there banging on my banging on my seat, like saying banging on my table about this should have happened like a year ago.
Yeah.
Like, and I know that wasn't the plan. I get it. Like you saw right away that the plan was to hold him out for a season.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I was just, like it's just impossible to not think that you want that kid with all those bells and whistles on that kid's arm, like to not want to see him in the game and see what he could do. But I think that we're going to benefit from him sitting and him being able to just get a year to acclimate himself with the team. And I think another underrated aspect is how glowingly his teammates are talking about him. And their Juszczyk had a whole like diatribe. He talked about him today. Like, what do you think about how like his like what do you think his level in the in the locker room is? Do you think that they have completely bought into him as a leader, or do you think it's still going to take him some time to really, like, he's going to have to show improve?
It's kind of interesting because a lot of these players have been so crazily loyal to Jimmy to the point where you have guys like Eric Armstead saying that he saved them. And I can't tell how much they're really bought in. I could tell like there's certain people obviously that are bought in, but I think it was Sean Salisbury or supposedly it was somebody that said there are still some players allegedly that prefer Jimmy at quarterback. So to me, if that's really true, I don't know what to tell them. Like Kyle gave Jimmy the chance because he actually showed up today. He did some throwing drills. He
Yeah,
told him like you don't have to be here if you don't want to, but you can. And he left. He doesn't even want to be here.
yeah.
Like you can't.
I mean, why would you?
Yeah, like why would he want to be there? Why would they want him there? Like they need to move on. But I think that if there are any players in this locker room that aren't fully bought in, because like we've heard the stuff last year, like when Trey came in Detroit and threw a touchdown, supposedly there's a veteran that went up to Kyle Shanahan and was like, "Hey, don't do that." At some point early on in this process, they'll be bought in. Like they'll get over it. Like
Yeah,
it's like you break up with somebody and you're like, oh, I'm never gonna get over it. This person was better, and then someone
yeah.
way better comes along. And you're like, oh, I'm
Like next
glad that
week.
person's gone. So
Yeah, exactly.
that's exactly what it's gonna be. I expect them by week 1 to at least be fully bought in. Like as he has time to bond. Like supposedly, like he went up behind Debo today when he was just on the sideline sprinting, gave him like a hug, and it feels like there's a lot of good energy here that we also didn't really get a good sense of because the team wasn't coming out and showing full on undoubted like support and belief in Trey and confidence in Trey because they're trying to posture Jimmy all the time and make him seem like,
Yeah,
oh, we're not just going to get rid of a good quarterback. So I think that played a part in us maybe thinking they're not fully bought in, but now it's starting to really show how the team
yeah,
feels about him.
yeah, for sure. So Debo, now
Mhm.
Debo, like, what do you think the over under is for what day he signs his deal? We heard a lot of things today, like
Yeah.
a lot of speculation.
It's
How
tough for me
do
to
you
give
think
an
it's
over
within the
under.
week?
I don't think it's within the week. And the only reason I'm going to say that is because I feel like that's a pattern this whole offseason was keep like I was like, oh, Jimmy's going to be traded on the 16th. The no trade clause is gone. Then like 3 weeks go by. Uh Nothing's happening. And then we're talking about Debo, like, oh, it's going to be done at this time. Then it was like a trade rumor. It just never happens when we expect it to happen. So I'm going to
Yeah,
say not this week. But what I have heard is that it's positive. They're talking, they're negotiating. Like it's just
yeah,
normal part of the process. We're at the beginning of camp, but it might take like another week of just getting the numbers right, getting the details right, making sure everything is solid because this is the big contract that Debo's going to get in this league. So I do think he definitely wants to get out there fast. Rohan today was saying like it sounds like there's good traction based on things that people have said. Not that he has like people inside, but like based on the things that have been said around the team, what other beat writers are saying, it sounds like there's good traction toward getting a deal done soon. I was thinking maybe it doesn't get done till like in the preseason, but it does sound like it'll be done at least before that. So based on things I've heard today and yesterday, I'll say it should be done before the first preseason game. That's what I'll say.
yeah.
I
I
hope.
think I'm with you. I want to say it's going to be done by the end of the week. I want to say that
I do
because
too.
because this lady, and I can't think of her, and I can't think of her name, but she broke one of the other signings before everybody else did too,
Mhm.
and she was saying that they were, I don't know. Do you know who the lady I'm talking about? Like,
Is it the one that said the guarantees could be around
yeah,
70
yeah,
million? Yeah.
yeah,
I can't
not
remember her name,
which,
but I saw that.
yeah, and I think that that's pretty accurate as to probably where it's going to be around. Like, and I think that Debo's going to be happy with that. I think that that it's going, even though the guarantees are at 70. I think that they're going to find. I think Parag is going to find a way to keep those. um, to keep those numbers, those yearly numbers down where he likes them, because that's what Prague does, and it's
4
gonna give
hours
it's
4 hours of independent film study every day.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
can't believe
there's
that.
probably going to be a lot of incentive based that's insane. I'm sorry. If you have to make a guy get in the do the film stuff, then you pick the wrong guy. Like, I mean, why are you paying him that amount
Somebody
if you've got to tell him to be a pro?
somebody in a space said it was like a Coach Carter contract. That was
Yeah,
funny.
that's crazy. I like and I get it that that the Cardinals went all in on Kyler Murray. They gave up Josh Rosen, which I mean, turns out it really wasn't much to give up. Like, and they still
Yeah.
got a second rounder back for him. Like, but at the same time, sometimes you got to see what you have in front of you, and maybe you trade him for a couple of first rounders, and like this is a good class. Maybe you just tank for this season and get a better quarterback and try again in this offseason.
Yeah.
But to go all in and pay a guy when you can't even count on him to do film study,
That's
that
funny.
to me that's kind of sad, and like I think it speaks to your organization and where you're at as an organization, as far as like you're just desperate at this point just to have a good guy, have somebody with talent on your team.
Yeah.
I don't know how you felt about it.
I live in Arizona, so I've been having a lot of fun with that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have a lot of fun with that. So it's funny. Like Cardinal fans are it's actually crazy because to me, I think like, well, I feel like they'll be happy because they haven't really had a quarterback like that in a while. So I'm like ask people or talking to people about it, and they're like, I didn't want to pay that guy. Like we didn't want to pay
Yeah.
him. So I'm happy about it. I
And I
I
mean,
have no
these are
problems
Cardinal
about
fans. Like
it.
they're like the most jaded. They've got to be the most jaded fans on the planet. Like,
Oh yeah.
so I mean, when they don't want to pay you, like you've got serious issues now. And the sad part is they have talent on that team. I love
Oh yeah.
Isaiah Simmons. I love Buda Baker. I love they've got a couple Marco Wilson. Like
Mhm.
I love him too. I think this defense has a lot of potential. And then they've got weapons on offense too. It's just
Cliff Kingsbury can't scheme that offense when D Hop is out. That's why they had to add Hollywood Brown because he's suspended for the first 6 games. But I'm telling you, this is why I'm happy about it because we're Niner fans. So I have no problems with any of this stuff.
yeah.
I'm biased like that. I think that the Cardinals could be 0-3 after the first 3 weeks. You know who their first 3 games are?
I didn't look at their schedule.
I looked at this the other day and I was like, oh my gosh, without D Hop, they could be 0-3. Week 1, Kansas City. Week
Oh,
2 is the Raiders, who added Chandler Jones, and they have Max Crosby
mm,
and Devontae. Week 3, the Rams. I think they could legitimately be 0-3.
yeah,
Good for the Niners.
it could
I don't
be.
know.
Now I don't count them out, especially because they play well at the beginning of seasons, and and then like I said, they have pieces on that defense that sometimes that defense is really, it looks really good. So I just I mean, they were ranked. Oh no, I think they were still only ranked like total defense. I think they were ranked like 11th or 12th last season. But to be ranked like that when they JJ Watt didn't even play most of the time. So, but
Yeah.
anyway, like this isn't a Cardinals podcast. Like it's but yeah, it's going to be as far as Debo goes. I think that he's going to be really happy with the contract. I think that they're going to use some funny money to make it look like bigger than what
Mhm.
it is,
It is, yeah.
and they're going to backload it, and then he probably won't see the the end of it. Like, but they might just restructure and just kind of kick the can down the road. But um, I think that do you think that Debo gets another contract after this one? Because he's like what,
He's
26?
26. I need to see how many years it is. Like
Because I
like
think it's going to be 4.
Terry McLaurin's contract, wasn't it like 3 years? I think it
Yeah,
was like 3 years. So I need to see how many years it is.
I think it's going to be
Um,
4. If they're offering him 70 million guaranteed, I think it's going to be 4.
I don't think he does, and the reason for that is because I think when the time comes, they're gonna want to keep Brandon Ayuk, and they're
Yeah.
gonna be keeping Bosa, and they're gonna be keeping Fred Warner. So I think when the time comes, Debo, the way he plays, by the time he's gonna be like what, like 30, 31, they might be like, nope, not gonna sign this guy to another 2-3 year contract. We're gonna roll with Ayuk,
Yeah.
roll with their draft picks. So to me, like I think with Trey, if he's who we want him to be, you have a long window. But right now, this is the window. You have Debo at all pro level. I think Ayuk's about to break out. You have them all here. Get it now. Like go for it now. But no, I don't think he gets another contract after this one. I think this is, at least not from us. Definitely not from us.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Somebody's going to take him.
there's a
It
Trent
might be a
Baalke out.
Cordarrelle Patterson deal
Th-
where
th-
like maybe he's still like maybe Atlanta will take him.
There's the Trent Baalkes out there that'll give Christian Kirk $80 million. So he'll get
Yeah.
paid somewhere. Just not
He's
by
going to
us.
get paid off of his name. Like as long as
Yeah.
nothing happens and God forbid that he should get injured with this style that he has. But
Mhm.
honestly, even though Debo's really physical, those aren't the injury. He doesn't get physical running back type injuries. Like they're just they're like non-football related injury type stuff. So yeah, I really like Debo. I can't wait to see him this season, and just to have that, just to think about what he did to get to carry our offense last season,
Mhm.
and to now not really need him to do that, and now we're just going to be able to use him sparingly, and like the defense is going to have to guard him plus all these other things. It's going to be yeah,
And I think
I've been geeking out all day.
And I think people really overblow like this whole route running thing, and people act like he's not a good route runner. I think it's just he runs the routes
No TL.
that Kyle's asking him to run based on Jimmy's skill set, and Brandon Ayuk is just running down the field, opening things up, and Debo's underneath. But with Trey being able to throw outside the numbers, being able to push the ball down the field, I think we're going to see Debo used as a vertical threat more. So that's why when people say like, "Oh, Debo probably won't replicate his numbers last year, his production," well, they had to start using him like a running back because Jimmy was just not good enough as a quarterback to get him the ball in many ways.
Exactly.
And if Trey is good, which I think he is, we'll be able to utilize him in more ways to get him the ball other than just handing it to him. I think we're going to be able to see Debo's full potential as a wide receiver with Trey Lance.
Yeah. So there was one thing I thought about because we're all geeking out about what the possibilities on this offense, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that I think, other than injuries, that could derail this whole thing is Kyle. Like, because Kyle, he frequently like thinks that he's the smartest guy in the room, and he frequently just does a little too much with the play calling sometimes. And what scares me is that he may, with all these options, he may just get a little too cute sometimes. And do you think that could be an issue going into this season? Because I felt that was a big issue last season and why we kind of started off slow. Like it was that we didn't realize we didn't go back to our identity until like halfway through the season.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a legitimate criticism and concern when you have a head coach that, if you look at like the Super Bowls he's been in, the NFC title game, and you look at how badly in the fourth quarters, specifically those fourth quarters, that his teams are getting outscored, I think it's a legitimate concern. I feel like in certain situations, what I wish Kyle just did more is just make sure no matter what, the ball is in the hands of your best players, whether it's Debo or Kittle. Like there was a play, and I can't remember what the play was exactly, but Sean McVay did two things. He did two things that one I liked, the other I didn't like. But remember when he had Cooper Kupp try to throw the ball?
Yeah.
In the Super Bowl, that was to me was a moment of like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why now you're trying to get too creative? Yeah. Like it's like when you go for it on fourth down by faking a punt and like Drew Brees is your quarterback and there was 2 yards to go. If you want to get the first down, put the ball in Drew Brees' hands. So like
There's
with
always a
this,
play like that in the Super Bowl, though. There's
yeah,
always a
there's
play like that
always
in the
one.
Super Bowl. So, some coach always does something like that.
But the one that I liked, and this is the stuff I wish Kyle was just do this instead of trying to be too creative, because I think sometimes he's actually just outsmarting himself.
Mm-hmm.
There was a play where I think it was like some sort of jet sweep almost, or some reverse, something like that, where they just basically handed the ball off to Cooper Kupp to pick up a first down. I think it was 4th and like 1 or something like that. And that was literally just a moment of, we're putting the ball in the hands of our Triple Crown winner because he gives us the best chance to get this first down. I need Kyle to do that more. And I understand you have a limited quarterback, but like in the 4th quarter of the NFC title game, I don't think Debo touched the ball after like the 11.5-minute mark or something like that. And
Yeah.
that touch that he had, he picked up a first down. So I just really hope that he's not at that point. Like if we find ourselves in a playoff game and it's the 4th quarter and we're like playing Tampa Bay or something like that, and we really need our offense to score. We're up by like 4 points, but we got to get a touchdown to put it away. I don't want him pulling out the too cute stuff. Like, roll with what got you there. That's my thing with Kyle. I feel like sometimes he goes a little bit away from it because he's trying to outsmart everybody, but he just outsmarts himself. Oh,
Yeah.
people want me to do Shant's voice.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm not going to do that right here.
But yeah, it just scares me a little because, you know, Kyle he does things like that in those playoff moments, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you know, I think I give McVay a little bit of credit in that he didn't go away from Cup in the NFC Championship game. Like when they needed a play, that's who they went to. They went to Cup. They went to they were gonna ride or die with Cup, and Cup, to his credit, we knew it was going to him, and he still burned us like us. So, but hopefully Kyle is learning. He's learned. I feel like this organization has learned from every time they make mistakes, they learn from them since they've gotten here, and from whether it be injuries, whether it be like contract situations, whatever the case was, they've always learned from their mistakes. And usually and I'm just hoping that Kyle can get to that point to where he just kind of has learned from his past mistakes on that.
Here's how I'll know if he learned, and it'll be in the middle of the season. Injuries happen. It's part of the game. I'm going to say someone tweaks their ankle. They're out for like a week. If he signs Mohamed Sanu, I know he has not learned a thing. if he at any point is on this 49er roster, I know he's not learned a thing. I don't want to see that guy anywhere. Keep him in Miami.
Well, he's on. I was about to say he's in Miami now.
If he gets cut though, don't call him. Like, let him be.
Because he's gonna get cut.
let him be. Call anybody else. Call Odell. I'd rather call Odell. Listen, and this is actually a thing I want to pitch here. Listen, if they signed Odell, let's say they freed up the Jimmy money. If you signed Odell, he has a torn ACL. So you could still develop the guys you have right now. You implement him in the middle of the season, and he's stashed away for the middle of the season to get implemented. He's a playoff weapon. Debo, Ayuk, Odell Beckham, George Kittle. That's someone I hope they add at some point, because I would hate to see him go somewhere like Kansas City, out of nowhere. I would hate that.
It's just like, I mean, at what point? Like, I mean, I just look at this wide receiver room, and I guess that we're higher on our wide receivers than the rest of the league is probably. I think a lot of people are starting to warm up to Juwan Jennings, but and nobody knows who Ray McCloud is. Like, but
Niner fans were mad that we signed him.
Yeah, but I think that they're gonna, and I said it at the time, I think that they're gonna be happy, and after all is said and done, like, but then, and nobody really, Danny Gray's a rookie. But I really think that these guys are really talented. They've got some other guys like Tay Martin and Marcus Johnson. And there's another guy that they got from the Cowboys that these guys are talented. And they got size, they've got speed. They're not even going to get a chance to sniff the field. So now you add in an Odell into the situation. okay, well now that forces Ray McLeod and a Jawan Jennings off the field. Like so at some point you're going to lose your identity. And
I would do it for situational purposes. Like if he was lining up in the slot in the playoffs and you just
yeah,
needed a surefire, like I wouldn't have him out there like every snap, but I'd think of him as like he's coming off an ACL, but I know he's good when he's on the field. I would think of him as like a role player. Like he'd just be a weapon to me. But I would do it because if like listen, if they trade Jimmy somehow, like if they trade Jimmy in the next few days or the next couple of weeks and they're sitting on 25 million and Odell's sitting there, he's gonna get signed by somebody at some point. I would just say, listen, we got Trey on a rookie deal. Why not? Like what if like a wide receiver like got hurt or something? We just happen to have Odell in the playoffs. I would do it. Just the rest of the season.
yeah. Like I mean, I would be looking for another safety more than anything. Because I think after Hafunga and Jimmy, if one of those went down,
That's true.
we'd be in dire straits.
That's true.
Like because if Jimmy goes down, I like yeah, that's
Dante
one guy.
Johnson.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Like and I'm all about the barnacle. Like
Oh,
but
man.
but yeah, like I feel like if we lost a guy like Jimmy Ward, uh there's really nothing behind it. I mean, you've got Travarius Ward back there, but we don't know what he is at this point. So yeah, I don't know. I think if anything that they would spend the money on the guy like that, but it's
Or
yeah,
Mohamed
it's gonna
Sanu.
be
Who
interesting.
knows? I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
exactly. But yeah, we're coming up about time to get out of here. But hey, Chris, I really appreciate you coming on last minute like that. Like I was in dire straits there for a minute, and I really want to apologize to Ronnie Niner, like because yeah, like I couldn't get my stuff working for like over an hour, and so I mean I don't think I couldn't get in touch with him after that, and I'm sure he had stuff to do. So, but I really appreciate you coming on today. Why don't you tell them one more time where they can find your future endeavors?
Yeah, thanks for having me on again. Yeah, so my Twitter is in the display name. It's just Chris Polo, 2 underscores. Right there in the bio is my link tree. You can find my podcasts on all the platforms I'm on there. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. I do the live streams. I'm going to start doing more live streams. At Roscoe make my overlays. He's working on my intro video right now, so we're getting close to that. I'm going to be streaming those straight from YouTube. So the link to my channel's in that link tree also. And I'm also going to be streaming straight off Twitch and Twitter. And once I hit 100 subscribers, let me know if you do subscribe to the YouTube, because when I hit 100, I'm going to be giving away a Nick Bosa jersey. So just make sure you let me know if you do hit the subscribe button so I know you're a part of that. But yeah, thanks for having me on, Peter.
Yeah, for sure. Make sure that you follow Chris on Twitter and then also on and subscribe to his YouTube page. Please subscribe to my YouTube page. Like I think I'm up to 66 now, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it means a whole bunch to me. Like starting this from the ground up with so I appreciate everybody that's subscribing. I appreciate everybody that follows me on Twitter. So it's and Roscoe, if you're still watching this, like you still owe me an outro. So
If you guys
it's
need Twitter headers, hit up
yes,
Roscoe's.
at like yeah, just Twitter hit at Roscoe's and his name will pop up. And like but that guy, he is very talented. So but yeah, appreciate it, everybody. Like I'll be back next week with somebody. Maybe I might bring in, hopefully I'll get Ron he'll forgive me and he'll come in next week. So but I'll see you guys next week, and once again, always go Niners.